Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Absolutely Not podcast. I'm your host, Heather McMahan. How are you? Hope you're having a fantastic day. I am home. I am fighting through the jet lag, and I am back, baby. I am back on, Monsanto soil here in the United States, just jacked up. We'll get into my trip to the hospital. We'll get into all of the things Italia. But I think this episode's going to have to be a two-part series. Two-parter. We did so much in Italy. So much has happened in the last 2 weeks. Thank you for letting me take 4th of July off. I wanted just to promote my buddy Jake Shane. He had me on his podcast that week, and I just wanted to come back and give you some real time updates. I was also trying to get fucking celebrities right before the holidays to come on the fucking podcast was like pulling teeth. And I said, I'm not emailing anybody's manager anymore. All right. Y'all want to know what the fuck I got into. So I appreciate you letting me have the week off last week. And we're going to do a 2-part series this week. So you're going to get a bonus episode this Friday. Get excited. So I feel like there's just so much to get into. We should start. First and foremost, I want to just say I ordered one of those lip stains on TikTok. It did not stain my lips. I look like I've got a disease. I don't know what's going on. It's one of those things where you put it all over your lips and you let it dry and then you peel it off. But I don't think it took into consideration the fact that, I'm almost a 40-year-old woman. I've got a couple straw lines. I've got a couple laugh lines. And of course, when I bought it, when I was, drunk, off TikTok shop, it's because some young woman with lip injections was smearing this shit all over her face. And of course her lips look perfect. And they end up being the perfect shade of mauve because she doesn't have wrinkles. So anyways, this shit's it's right all over. It's like in the corners. I hate it. Anyways, how are we doing? Well, I was doing great. I was doing fantastic until I stepped back in America. And I did go to the hospital. Now, I know that y'all want to know what happened. So while this probably should be in part 2, I will just go ahead and backtrack real quick and tell you. I did have to go to the ER Saturday. I am mortified by it. Before I get into the entire Italy trip, let me rip the Band-Aid because that's what I know y'all want to hear. On the flight back from Italy on Friday, my stomach was really killing me that morning. It was this intense, deep pain, not nausea, not appendicitis. Just kind of felt like not acid indigestion. And here's the one thing that I want y'all to hear. I am so absolutely in tune with what's going on in my body. It's unbelievable. It's wild to me when people are like, I don't know what's going on. After I had an ovary explode on an airplane, you bet your ass I am essentially a walking short white coat, as doctors will say. Okay? I have a short white coat. I can smell your breath and I can tell you what your diagnosis is. All right. I am in tune with the medical community. So I was feeling this interesting pain on Thursday. And I said, you know what? It's probably a little gas bubble, probably just a little something tucked right underneath the rib cage. And I said, I'll be fine, and I thought I had some Pepto-Bismol in my bag. I didn't think twice. I said, you know what? I'm uncomfortable, but I'm fine. Now, if you've never heard the episode called Ovaries on an Airplane, you need to go back and listen to it. It's probably my most popular episode of this podcast to date. Long story short, I was on an international flight. I had an ovarian torsion, which meant my ovary flipped upside down, a cyst burst, and I almost literally died. It made for great entertainment, though, of course. But so I knew getting on this next international flight to come home, I was like, well, I'm not in that kind of pain. But I think that this has now fucked up my sense of gauging whether or not I'm actually in danger, okay? Because I know what that extreme amount of pain feels like. So anytime I even say if that was 1 out of 10, that was a 10. Even if I get to an 8, I'm like, it wasn't a 10. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I can handle it. It's an 8, please. 8, walk in the park. So we get on this flight. Jeff's like, you okay? I didn't feel nauseous, didn't have a headache, didn't have a, fever, nothing. I just had this weird sharp pain in my tummy. I said, it's got to be a gas bubble. You know what I mean? Got to be a little trapped air. Well, we get up there and it compresses even more because obviously we're, 40,000 feet up in the air. And I had the worst pain in my stomach for 12 fucking hours. Then the weather was bad, so we had to divert. All the way to Charlotte for a minute because we couldn't land in Atlanta airport. It was a huge storm and we were running out of fuel. So then we had to sit on the tarmac for an hour and a half and I'm writhing in pain. I said, Jeff, you know what I mean? I need you to punch me in the stomach right now. Either something's got to go out the other way or come up. I don't know. So finally get to Atlanta, finally get home. And of course, I think I have Pepto in my bag. So I'm not freaking out. I'm like, I'll just take a Pepto at some point. We get high in the sky. I realize I only got Trazodones. What does Trazodone do? It's anti-anxiety. I take half one of those just to cool my jets, no pun intended. And it, but it wasn't a pain reliever. So one point during the flight, I'm like, I might spontaneously combust. Like the pressure started to get intense. But again, it was not ovaries on an airplane. It did not get to a 10. I was at like a 7, a 7.5. Very uncomfortable for 11 hours straight. But it never got to a 10. So we land. Of course, I didn't have the Pepto. So I'm like, whatever. I have Jeff drive me immediately to a CVS and I get the maximum strength Gas X, okay? Again, I've been eating rich foods, even though it's Italy and it's pure and I didn't put on a ton of weight on the trip. It was rich. A lot of prosciutto, a lot of salamis, a lot of cheese, a lot of wine. So I'm like, it's probably just a level of overindulgence. We land. We skied into a CVS on 2 wheels. I get a Gas X. The next day I wake up. I'm still writhing in pain. So go to urgent care. Shout out to my boy, Dr. Dukes. And he goes, listen, here's the deal, Heather. I'm pressing on your tummy, and this could be early stages of gallbladder or early stages of appendicitis. He's like, and I know you have the highest pain tolerance of anybody on this planet post-ovaries on an airplane. So I don't think your body's able to gauge whether or not your insides are about to explode. So I go to the ER. I'm like, so my only option right now is to go to the ER. He's like, yeah, it's the only place on a Saturday, 4th of July weekend, you're going to get all the tests done, at the same spot. And he told me, he said, anytime you have abdominal pain that's very severe, you have to go to the ER. He's like, that's one thing we don't fuck with. He's like, they will check you for a heart attack. Side note, just so y'all know, if you ever look up the symptoms, let me just pull up the symptoms of a female heart attack. It is basically how I feel every fucking day of my life, okay? Here are the symptoms. Fatigue, got it. Sweating, got it. Stomach pain, yep. Chest pain, tits are sore. Upper body pain, shoulders are tight. Nausea, indigestion, lightheadedness, or shortness of breath. So they are literally asking me this, going through this checklist. Do you have any of these? I go, I have every single one of those things every fucking day of my life. And I did learn this in CPR training at SoulCycle that if you are a woman and you ever need to jump the line at the ER, you just tell them, I think I'm having a heart attack. Because you could walk in there completely able to speak, fine. They're like, when women have heart attacks, you're literally at the grocery store and you're like, I feel a little nauseous or my chest is a little tight, but I did do Pilates earlier. Like, it's not something where you grab your chest and your left arm goes numb. That can happen, but that's usually the case in men. Why? Because they're dramatic. That's why. Anytime Grandpa had a heart attack, he clutches the chest, hits the ground. What happens when women have heart attacks? We're just grocery shopping. You know what I mean? I get a little nauseous. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I have fatigue. And I'm literally fighting for my life. So I show up to the ER. They take me immediately. I don't say I'm having a heart attack. My doctor had already called. There was nobody in there. I'm thinking it's 4th of July weekend. Surely we got cousin Ronnie up there who's missing a limb because he was playing with fireworks. I just figured everybody in the entire ER waiting room was going to be missing digits, ears, limbs. I thought there would be a lot of missing body parts. I get in there. There's nobody in there. So I roll in, they put me on the thing. They have to hook me up to an EKG because they're like, Dr. Dukes called, said you're having really excruciating stomach pain. I said, listen, I'm embarrassed. All right. I've been in Italy the last 2 weeks, thriving. I touched down on American soil. I think I'm dying. Am I good? And they're like, well, we got to do an EKG. We just got to keep an eye because, again, it could be a heart attack. And I'm like, I don't think I'm having a heart attack, but strap me up. They do an ultrasound. They're looking at the gallbladder. Also, I get it. I really do get it. But it's a little kind of bullshit. Like I'm sweet talking the ultrasound gal, the ultrasound tech, and I'm like, "What do you see?" She's like, "I can talk about literally anything with you but your results." And I'm like, "Okay, but I don't think you understand, ma'am. I have a short white coat. Like you could show me an x-ray. You could show me a CT scan. You could show me a mammogram, and I'm going to be able to tell you whether or not I'm dying. That's how in tune I am with the body." She said, "Ma'am, you have a theater degree from the University of Mississippi. At no point do I think it is appropriate for us to swap information." I said, "Fine, bitch." So I had to wait for the doctor to come in. Lovely lady. Shout out to my practitioner named Christina. She was phenomenal. She's like, "We're going to run all the tests." She's like, "Your ultrasound came back great. Your blood work came back great. I think you could have a gallbladder spasm, which if you've been eating like a lot of rich foods, if you've been drinking a ton, basically overindulgence, your body, your muscle could be in a spasm." I'm like, "I'm in a lot of pain." Okay. She's like, "All right, well, we're going to do the CT scan." So we do the CT scan. And of course, you're never wanting to find anything wrong with you. All right. I didn't want to be in the hospital. I'm mortified that I'm there. And in my mind, I'm like, I have a feeling, God bless, thank God, but I have a feeling they're about to wheel me out and say, "Bitch, you've got gas." So she's like, "Good news. We have found nothing," which is great. You never want to find a problem. She's like, "But the bad news is I think you came here because you got low rumbles in your tummy." And I said, what do I do? Have my husband sit on me? Like, what do I do? She's like, "You're going to have a bland diet for 2 days. And you know what I mean? Roll down the windows and just fart all the way home." And I said, "Ma'am, if I could, I wouldn't be here." Naturally, two of the nurses said, "You look familiar." I said, you know where to find me. I was giving people my TikTok handle by the time I was rolling out of there. I've never been so embarrassed in my life. And I needed actual medical attention on an international flight 4 years prior for a real problem. But there is nothing more humbling and embarrassing than being a 37-year-old woman going to the ER because your doctor sent you there. It wasn't me being a hypochondriac. I am the opposite of a hypochondriac. My limbs are falling off and I'm like, we good. Okay, keep rolling. But my doctor was like, this could either be early stages of appendicitis, your pancreas, your gallbladder, or you're having a heart attack. You absolutely need to go to the ER. So I was like, fine. I leave there and I go up to the registers off the bursar, and I'm like, okay, do I need to pay a bill? She said, "You'll get one in the mail in a couple days." Don't know why I gave her a New York accent. I was like, all right, we're locked and loaded. So I just walked out of there with nothing, not even my dignity intact. Because I was there for 5 hours, did every test, and she said, "You know what? It's gas." That's fucking embarrassing. And sweet Jeff, he wanted to come up multiple times. I said, "I don't want you here, okay? Honestly, I have 4 hours to sit in this very warm bed, get waited on hand and foot, and just watch TikToks alone. No, I don't want you here. I appreciate it." I said, "If, I'll keep you." I was able to share with him everything that was going on. I was like, "I don't need you here." Breathing down my neck, asking questions, tinkering with all the wires because I was hooked up because they were making sure I wasn't having a female heart attack. I mean, the fact that the symptoms of a heart attack is indigestion and lightheadedness, I have that every day. If I stand up too quick from the toilet, I'm like, whoa, do I have vertigo? Like, literally, I have had shits in my life that have left me with symptoms of a female heart attack. Stomach pain every day, fatigue, yes. Nausea, always a little bit. So either way, any woman who's listening to this, if you have any of these issues, you might need to drive yourself to the ER immediately and just walk in. You don't have to be short of breath and just say, "I think I'm having a heart attack," and they will wheel your ass back. But no, good. Thank God. Fine. Still didn't feel great the next day. My mom made me a little pastina, which if you know, you know. And I was just, flushing it out. I really think it was just a mixture of the compression of the airplane, the fact that I hadn't really shit well in 2 weeks. But I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. And this is why, lesson learned, you never let people know you're in the hospital till you get the diagnosis first. Because I shouldn't have. I was bored. I'm sitting in there, hooked up to the machine, wanted a little interaction, didn't want attention. I'm not stupid, but I was like, hey, guys, I'm here. Let you know what's going on. And then I had to give you a follow-up on what the diagnosis was. And the diagnosis was your girl's 37, ate cheese too fast, and the gas built up in my tummy. That's fucking embarrassing. I don't think you bounce back from that. I don't know how you do. I really don't know how you do. Okay, hold on. I just clicked on the arrow to display more symptoms of a female heart attack. And I'm going to tell you right now, we are all in the middle of an actual heart attack. Hold on, guys. There's like 10 more things. Okay, trouble sleeping. Yep. Cough. Yep. Just says jaw. Maybe your jaw's tight. I have TMJ. Vomiting or dizziness. Yep. Headache. Yep. Just aching. Yep. You ever break out in a cold sweat? Hormonally, every day. Weakness. A symptom of a heart attack is just weakness. So if you're just the inferior sex, if you're a weak bitch, just know you're probably having a heart attack. Fast heart rate. Anxiety. Every day. Every fucking day of my life. The trouble sleeping and the sweating and the fatigue and the indigestion. Check. I did ask them when I was in there. I was like, I feel like hooking me up to this EKG is like really not necessary. They're like, if you come in here with any sort of stomach pain as a woman, we immediately have to set you up. Thank God. Praise be. I'm fine. But I did ask the nurse, I said, how many people come in here thinking they're having a heart attack and it is what I have, or it's just anxiety? She's like, honey, we probably have 35 people a day who actually think they're having a heart attack, which probably in men have the symptoms. And then we find out it's a little gas bubble or a little anxiety. So I really am saying all of this because I want y'all to know, the amount of people that reached out to me and said, Heather, I was in the ER 2 weeks ago for gas bubble. Like the amount of people that admitted, just put their pride to the side and DM me to admit that they too had that happen to them made me feel good. Misery does love company. So I want to say thank you for checking in on me. I still haven't, I thought I'd be sitting on the couch later that day just ripping, and it has not happened. Haven't really even been belching. So I don't know what's going to happen. I may just be walking into a Home Goods and explode. I don't know. Now, a lot of y'all are also probably like, Heather, I do this to myself. I share too much online, and then I get angry at myself for getting angry at the medical responses when I asked people on the internet, what do you think's happening to me? And so many women DM me, and they're like, Heather, you need magnesium. Bitch, I am on so much magnesium. I'm the one who told you about the magnesium. Don't you tell me that I need magnesium. I told you. Fuck off. I'm on so much magnesium. But I'll tell you what, when you go to Europe, I was taking my AG1 every day, which I swear by, but I think it was the compression. I wore compression socks on the flight there. And then that morning, we had to connect through New York. So even on my way to Italy, I never got in a regular bathroom break. Do you know what I'm saying? I was pushed off my schedule. Then you throw me into the spaceship, compress me with air, and then I land at like 4 o'clock in the morning in Milan. And of course I didn't shit for 3 weeks. So what I did was, at one point when we were in Gibicimonte, which is a beach mountain range in near Rimini, which is on the Adriatic side, and I'll get to that part of the story in a little bit. I had a Z pack in my little medical kit. I travel with everything. You got gangrene, a UTI, a bladder infection, a headache, a precancerous mole. I got something to freeze it off. Like I have everything in my medical kit. But I realized the amount of magnesium, fiber, nothing was getting this girl going. I had 2 espressos after dinner one night, and I was chain smoking menthols. You know you're desperate when you're like, I need a little cigarette to get that going. If you're in Key West, Florida, and you have an espresso after dinner, and you don't even have to light the cigarette, just get a little nicotine close to the lips, you're gonna shit yourself. In Italy, it was not working. So I took one day, I was like, I'm just going to take 1 pill of a Z-Pack because that azithromycin runs through me. And then that day, I shit myself. So it has been a gastrointestinal journey. I'm embarrassed that I'm even sharing this with you. But you know what? I don't know what boundaries are. And I have pulled you guys along into so much of my life. So why not just, get you in it even closer? So that's where I was at. But anyways, but I had people being like, Heather, just have some magnesium. Did you pack fiber? I packed so much. I think what was happening was my body, when I got to Italy, was so excited. It was just holding on to so much fun. And that's what we had. We had so much freaking fun. I'm going to get into everything. Okay, let's start at the journey, and then we'll get into some voicemails. And then this episode coming out towards the end of the week is going to be the part 2 of this, because there's no way I can fit this into less than 6 hours. So Tina, Jeff, and I flew into Milan. We drove a car. Oh, let's just start there. We landed like 5 a.m. Italy time. And we go to the rental car place. Okay. Death be to the sixth rental. And, it says opens up at like 6 a.m. Not a problem. We're hanging out by the time we get our bags, etc. It's like 5:59. Well, we have the QR code where you just go to the garage where the rental cars are. They scan your QR code. It literally says, skip the line. You're all good. We had the exclusive, we got the big Volvo rental. We were like easy breezy. We show up. And I can see my boys in the gorgeous modern glass rental car space in the garage. They got the Lamborghinis out, the Maseratis. All the cars are lined up with the fancy ones in front. And I'm holding that QR code up like, we're ready. They're like, we don't open for another 30. I get it. It's 6 o'clock. It says you open at 6, but it's fine. It's Italy. I respect it. You need to finish your macchiato and your cornetto. Cornetto is just croissant, if you will, in Italian. So they're trying to have their little dolce de leche in the morning, have their little coffee. I get it. You got to know, when you go to Italy, you're on Italy time. They're never going to drop a check unless you literally take your tits out of your top and say, I got to get out of here. Okay, so, Americans always get upset when they're at dinner that nobody is, they move at their own pace. It's because they want you to relax. They're like, you came to Italy, now fucking relax. But the irony of it is, what's the one thing that Italians, whether they're American or from the motherland, can't do? Fucking relax, which is ironic to me. So we show up, and so we're like, we're just going to wait it out. All of a sudden, this guy comes out. I don't know if he was from LA or his just wife was from Long Island, but he and his wife are like yelling at each other. And essentially they're like, you got to get back in that line in the front. Okay. So you got to go back into the terminal and go to that desk instead of using your QR code to cut the line. So Jeff's like, oh, fuck this. So he's already in a mood. He goes to the line. He's texting me. He's like, there's 300 people in line. One lady working, eating a freaking cornetto. This is going to take days. So Tina and I are just chilling. We are chilling, watching everybody just finish their fucking breakfast at this outside kiosk in the garage. I'm like, all I need you to do, scan the QR code, give me the keys. We're out of here on our way to Lago di Garda. But naturally, this takes like an hour and a half, okay? And I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like, this is Italy. So this woman, who I guess is married to the guy from LA, I couldn't tell what was going on, but at some point, I'm already traveling with two New Yorkers who are getting a high fee. All right. Then this woman from Long Island comes around and she's screaming at somebody in the garage, like, I needed a car for 7 people. This car's too small. And I just put my head down in shame. I said, you know what? This is where being a New Yorker, it does thrive. I'm not great at yelling at people to get what I need. But in this moment, I was like, I'm just going to step back. I'm going to step back and let the New Yorkers do what the New Yorkers do. You know what I mean? Which is get to the front of the line and get shit done. All right. I'm Southern. I'm like, you know what? You get me a turkey sandwich and we're going to figure it out. So this woman's screaming about something, which I guess then pissed off my husband. So now it's New Yorker versus New Yorker. Now you're going to realize that this is going to be a common theme throughout the vacation. So Jeff's texting me. He's like, this woman standing at the front desk, she's screaming that she needs a 7-passenger van, but I'm trying to explain to her that they don't have that in Italy and she should just take the big Volvo, but that's the car that we want. I'm trying to help her by giving her our car. I don't know what's happening. So Jeff's texting me. This woman comes out screaming, yelling at her husband. Everyone's screaming, and Tina and I are just sitting there watching these people have their breakfast. And I was like, I'm not going to get bothered. I'm not going to sweat. I'm not going to do shit. So Jeff, of course, is now mad at this lady from Long Island because she was a pain in the ass. He's like, I feel bad for her husband. She's a nightmare. Now, they're never having words. Jeff is just passive-aggressively texting me this. So then he comes out and he's like, I got the keys. It's like an hour and a half later. We get in the car and we start heading to Lake Garda. Okay, so crisis averted. But just so you know, if you land in Italy and the car place says it's going to open at 6, it's more like 8:45. Maybe if you show up with some sweet treats from the States, they'll allow you. But just know, however you think it's going to work, it's not going to work that way. And if you go into a vacation in Italy with that mindset, then you're going to be fine. Again, I always say keep your expectations low, and then you're surprised. So anyways, we stop at an auto grill. Baby, an auto grill is like the Buc-ee's of Italy. Once we get that first cappuccino with real whole milk, once that hits your lips and you have a nice cornetto, so a nice croissant, where they just take a pastry bag and they pipe in, just like a giant dildo, they pipe in a bunch of pistachio cream, and that thing hits your lips, you're a new person. Spirits were high. We were ready to hit the road and drive 2 hours to Lago di Garda, which means Lake Garda. Now, a lot of people go to Lake Como, but Tina found this great hotel. I think it was Le Fay Resort and Spa, which was phenomenal. I would definitely go again. Because, we did Como. We love Como. Como right now is not affordable. You can go back in September when it's affordable, but it is absolutely astronomical right now. And we were going down to Rimini, that area, which was about 3 hours south. So imagine if you go from like Lake Garda area, we had to drive down to Bologna and then down the coast. So we said, this is perfect. We'll stay here for 2 days. We'll get adjusted. We'll relax at the spa. We'll have nice dinners. We'll chill. And then we're going to meet up with our friends down in Rimini in a couple days. Perfect. Now, let me tell you what. I know I did a full hour of just answering your questions about Italy, but I don't think I actually served any purpose of being helpful about telling you about Italy, because it was just, there were so many open-ended questions, and I feel like I could do a whole TED Talk about how to vacation well in Italy. All right. Again, keep your expectations low, and then you get surprised. But one thing I will tell you about jet lag is don't listen to anybody. Don't fight through the day. You're not going to make it, and then you're going to be fucked. What you do is if you land somewhere, you probably, even if you have an Amex, you're not getting into your room till 3 or 4 anyways. So this is what you do. You drive, you get to your hotel, all right? So at least if you pass out on a couch in the lobby, they can't kick you out. You go, you get settled, always have a change of clothes in your carry-on, put on a fresh pair of panties. You'd be surprised the energy levels that boost up once you know that your crotch is not absolutely rotten, okay? Get some body wipes, get a nice fresh pair of underwear on, and you sit down and have a lasagna lunch. You have 2 glasses of wine. You start with sparkling, then you have a nice white or red, and then you have a little espresso, okay? And then by that time, after you've had a 2-hour lunch, you're just drunk enough, but also you had a little espresso moment. I know what you're thinking, Heather, why would you have the espresso? Because you're about to take what I like to call a disco nap. All right. Then you get checked into your hotel room around 3 and you nap hard. You nap hard till about 7:30. Then you get up, or actually, no, even better. 3 to 6, you take a nap. You get up at 6, you walk down to the spa, you have a 6:30 massage, 6:30 to 7:30. You're getting rubbed, okay? It's moving the lymphatic drainage out. You're moving the muscles. You're feeling like a new person. Then if you can, you sit in a sauna or a cold plunge in the spa, and then you take a nice shower and you go to dinner. At this point, you're like, well, I just took a 3-hour nap. There's no way I'm going to sleep. You drink a bottle of red wine, Barolo, Nebbiolo, something of the sorts, maybe a nice Chianti. You drink a bottle of red wine, have a little sweet treat, and your ass is going to go to bed at midnight, and then you're right on schedule, okay? So anybody who says, oh, we're just going to do sightseeing and we're just going to push through, you're not going to make it. 4 o'clock's going to hit and your face is going to melt off. So listen to me. If you can, and you need to adjust well to Europe, you land somewhere that has a spa, you take a nap, you get a massage, you go to dinner, you live your best life. Okay. Anyways, so we did Lake Garda for 2 days. It was a great place to sweat out, the airplane, sweat out the travel, all of that, and we had a really lovely time. And then we headed down to meet our friends. So big shout out to Massimo and Steven and Pietro and all of our buddies down there. We did drive through a torrential downpour, and when I say Lake Garda, the fresh water had risen, and we basically drove through a flood zone for a trip that was supposed to take, I don't know, 2.5 hours to get down to where we needed to go. Took about 5, but that's adventure for you. So we get down to Rimini, and the whole point of the beginning of this trip was our friends Steven and Pietro. They're the owners of Storco Fresco, Storco Forza, and Yeppa. A lot of people are confused. They're like, oh, you don't go to Storco Fresco anymore. No, I do. I like to hang out at Yeppa, which is my favorite out of all of their restaurants. I love Emilia-Romagnan food. So Storco Fresco is a little more Roman, Storco Forza is Roman, and then Yeppa is specifically Emilia-Romagnan food. It's my fave. So anyways, long story short, we were going because they opened a villa. They're redoing this incredible villa called Villa Yeppa, and it's towards Rimini. And if you've never been to Rimini, it's only Italians. It's like the coolest place ever. You don't find any Americans, and that's honestly the kind of travel that I like to do. So it's about 20 minutes to the beach, in this about 20 minutes south of Rimini, in this area called Riccione or Cattolica, which is amazing. So there's all these little small towns. I'm going to confuse you guys. All you need to know is I was in the Emilia-Romagna region on the Adriatic side. So I was towards the Adriatic Ocean. And our buddies Steven and Pietro are redoing this villa that coincides with Ottaviani, which is our buddy Massimo's vineyard. He did all the wine for my wedding. Absolutely incredible wine. You have to check them out. I'll link all this on my Instagram. So we're there for basically like this giant party that they're going to throw in order to celebrate the launch of the villa. This place is going to be fucking sick. When it is officially open for you to rent, I get no cut of this. I don't want you to think this is some sort of like weird vacation spiel where I'm like, it's a timeshare. I'm getting a cut of your vacation. I'm not. I'm just saying that we will absolutely be back there when it opens, hopefully in September. But you got to go rent it out. I mean, it's got a pool. There's so much to do, and it's the best food region in Italy. Emilia-Romagna is absolutely to die for. Okay, you have Modena, you have Bologna, and then you have all the fabulous food from the seaside. Like, it's just incredible. So we're there, and Steven has this idea. He's like, I want to shoot essentially like, and I don't know how much I can say about it, but we're shooting like a travel pilot for like a show idea concept, but it's very meta, and we have to figure out a way to make it digestible for the audience. So we're like, let's just go shoot for 4 days with Steven's boys, and we're just going to make some insane content and figure out what we want to do with this like brainchild idea. And it ended up being so fucking out of control. First of all, shout out to the crew. The crew was absolutely amazing, but we basically did like a day in the life of somebody from this region. Like, what are you getting into? What are you doing? Where are you having your pastry in the morning? Where are you having your coffee? Where are you drinking at night? And through Steven's eyes, we got to meet like the real locals. And this is what I love. Like, I love watching travel shows and you get to see, great food, but I want to know about the people. I want to know about the creepy guy at the end of the bar who everybody in the town knows, who like gets cousin Ronnie out of jail when he gets in trouble for something. That's what I want to know. Well, there was this guy, Franco, who ended up being the head of the tourism board for the area, for Rimini. And y'all, this was the most epic fucking man I've ever met. Franco's got to be, I say, in his 70s, okay? Never been married, lives his fucking best life. And what he does is he's like the local paparazzi. He just kept taking photos on his iPhone. Now, if you've ever seen a 70-year-old take photos on their iPhone, it's like, you know what I mean? Like he kept having to like pull down his glasses to take photos. And I was just like, there's no way that any of these photos are zoomed in, are in focus, the lighting's right. And this is what Franco would do every day. He would go to his local like photo center, his local photography store, and he would print out the photos. He does this to everybody. If he takes a photo of a random garbage man and he likes the photo, he's going to then print it out, put it in an envelope with your name on it. So if you're watching this on YouTube right now, I'm going to show you some of these photos. And then he gives you the photos, hand delivers you the photos. Now, for a younger generation that may not understand how nostalgic and important that this, I would say, gift giving is, then you never were in college when we had this thing called party pics. Party pics was when you had a professional photographer come to date nights or fraternity parties or sorority parties, and the guy would follow you around like your own paparazzo. Okay, this is before we had fucking like iPhones taking our own photos at parties. I already told you we used to walk around with the digital cameras. Well, every sorority, fraternity, bar, whatever, would have a party pics guy. And when you really think about who was doing the party pics, it was exactly that, like a 70-year-old kind of creepy dude who would just walk around and take photos of people getting fucked up. So anyways, you would get a link the next day from your sorority or fraternity or whatever, or the bar. They'd send you a link to your school email. You click on it, and every single fucking person could go through and look at the party pics. So if you're like, giving somebody a hand job in the back of one of these in a toga, it was there for the world to see. And what you would do is you would go click, 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 click the thumbnails, and then you would pay like for $20, you'd get 100 party pics, and then they'd send it just like this in a white envelope, and it would go to your mailbox at school, okay? There was nothing better. Dude, if there was a date party on a Tuesday, by Friday when you were hungover and want to sit on the front porch of the Delta Gamma house, you would sit out there, open your white envelope, and just laugh your ass off. So then Franco is essentially my party pics king the entire time we're in this entire region of Italy. And when I tell you these photos, I don't know if you can see any of these on camera. Tina's going to come and zoom in. They are terrible, okay? The lighting is awful. You can't even make out my face in half these, all right? Now, what's even better is, here is one of Franco. Hold on. That he screenshot when I put him up on my Instagram, he screenshot it, and then it literally has like the banner from Instagram on it. This is what I'm dealing with. But I got an entire party pics package of photos every day I was there. Now, I do want to hold up this one photo, which is pretty great. If anybody can see this on the YouTubes, this guy's name is Marco Bazzani. Something with the two Z's. Marco, I think it's Bazzani. It's something like that. Anyways, he used to be the former CEO of Gucci. So the last night we're now in this town called Gabici Monte, and the beach area is called Gabici Mare. So we're at this party. We're at this like Michelin star restaurant. and they're having this giant blues music. This not blues music. It's not blues music. It's disco music. So in this tiny little town we're staying in, the last night they have this thing called Disco Diva, where they get disco stars from the United States to come and perform for all the Italians. So right across from our hotel, which I'll link all this stuff on Instagram. I'm going to do like a whole go-to guide, if you will, was a sick restaurant. We didn't end up eating at the restaurant because every restaurant we went to was fucking unbelievable. But we're there and it's every hot Italian. So then I decide, because I have my digital camera, because digital cameras came back. I start going around the party. Now Franco's at this party. The head of Gucci's at this party. This is how you know this is fucking chic, because there's no Americans. Not an American in sight except us, our crew, and we're the only ones there. So I have my digital camera because I am losing my shit at how good looking everybody is. So I start going around. I'm like, click, click. I tell everybody that I'm a famous photographer from the United States, and I start taking photos of these hot Italians. When I tell you I've got to post all these photos online. When I tell you that these people were so naturally good looking, didn't think twice. Like they were like, oh, you're a photographer. They like the sexiest, hottest, naturally chic people I've ever seen in my life. And when I met the head of Gucci, I was like, oh, Gucci, love the outlets. And he, of course, was like, I have no fucking idea what you're saying because you're not speaking Italian. I did ask him for a discount, and he said no. So he did understand that. But needless to say, we were like in the thick of it. So here I am getting an envelope every day from this guy, Franco. I was obsessed with it. The photos were so unflattering. The lighting was terrible. His fingers over half of them. He still gets them printed out. And I actually think I want to bring back this art of gift giving back to the States. I don't know if this is going to be my contribution to parties now, where I take my digital camera, I miss party pics, I take photos of everybody, and then the next day you get a nice envelope, kind of mob style. Kind of like you put it in the newspaper, slide it across the table, you open it up. And I'm like, it's a little incriminating. You know what I mean? It's a little it's also a little thrilling. So I think that's going to be my new thing. And if anybody wants to take that and roll with that in your group of friends, fucking go for it. Because there was nothing better than being slightly hungover at breakfast, not having shit in about 8 days, and having this adorable man named Franco come up to me and be like, I've got photos for you. And you're just like, let's fucking go. Oh God, we're already 42 minutes in. Yeah, this is going to have to be a 2-part series. I'll get to the voicemails here in just a sec. But what do we do? I mean, we did a boat day. Dude, we went to this restaurant, Da Andrea, right? Yeah. When I tell you I had one of the best meals of my life. And I will get into this in the 2-part series, that I do think I have ruined some places for myself by telling y'all about them. Because then I find no peace in dining there anymore. But if any of y'all make it to this region, was this in Cattolica? Okay, in Cattolica. So there's all these little different towns. So you got to understand which region you're in. It'd be like if you're on the East Coast. Okay, just go with me here. You're in New York, you're in the Hamptons, you're going from Montauk down to Bridgehampton. Just so you guys can wrap your head around how we're bopping around all these little beach towns, right? But it's all a 20-minute drive within within the area. We go to this restaurant in Cattolica called Da Andrea. Andrea is the guy who runs the place. When I tell you, one of the first things they brought out was almost like, it was like a half-shell clam with some sort of tomato sauce, some sort of garlic, and they had baked it, almost like an oyster Rockefeller, right? Where they have it with like au gratin with the spinach and the cheese. And when I tell you, I took this little baby baked clam to my lips and I wept. I had a gorgeous bottle of the Ottaviani Rebella, which is their white varietal that is only from Emilia-Romagna. And that hit my lips and I'm sucking down this little clam. And then they brought out this plate of these baby, no bigger than I'd say a silver dollar, little soft shell crabs, lightly salt and peppered, grilled, and you just crack those bad boy open. I looked at the end of the table. There's a bunch of people. There's like 10 of us at this table. I look down at the end of the table and Christina is weeping. She's weeping so hard she can't catch her breath, like an ugly cry. So good. And immediately I'm like, because Christina cries 2 times when something's fantastic and then when she sees a celebrity she loves, okay? Like she ran into A-Rod and J-Lo in a elevator once when she was auditioning for Broadway and she cried in front of them. Like she makes it weird, okay? That's why we love her. She's crying, and I immediately am like, oh my God. Like, I think Sylvester Stallone, Paris Hilton, somebody just walked into this restaurant. But then immediately in my mind, I'm like, no, we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's no Americans. I'm looking around. I'm like, no, there's no celebrities here. So then I know she's crying because the food's so good, because I'm crying. And I look at her, and I'm like, are you good? And she's like, this is the best soft shell crab I've ever had. And everybody at this table is just weeping at this point. It's pure. It's delicious. Every day for lunch, we'd have like a gorgeous fresh crudo. First, they'd start with like a crudité. It would just be fresh vegetables. And then you get a little bowl of olive oil and some great red wine vinegar, salt, pepper, and you take a piece of endive and you just mix it around and you'd eat it. And it was pure. And then you'd have crudo. And then you'd have like spaghetti vongole. Like it was just fucking incredible. So we had the best time. And the irony of all of this is my friends that we were with, Steven grew up in this region and he is from Macon, Georgia. I got to have him on the podcast. I genuinely think y'all would fucking love to hear from Steven. He's such a fucking character and he's a dear friend. But he's half American, half Venezuelan, but 100% Italian. You know what I'm saying? His mom was from Venezuela. They grew up in Italy. His daddy's from Macon, Georgia. Like he speaks 7 languages. And so we're here with his extended family. They're all Venezuelan, but like all also Italian. So when I tell you like I'm ready to go to Venezuela. I'm ready to like fix the government. They're like, you should run for fucking president. Like I can't even tell you. It was just 1 minute everyone's speaking Spanish, 1 minute everyone's fluent in Italian. We were just drinking Old Rebola, getting so fucked up, crying over soft shell crabs and the most beautiful crudo you've ever seen in your life. And I was like, this brings me so much joy. I was able to smoke a couple cigarettes after dinner, no judgment. It was just mwah. Molto bene, chef's kiss, the best week. We did a boat day. We went down the Adriatic. I mean, it was just gorgeous. If you ever get the chance to go to this region, this is such a hidden gem. And it was interesting when we went to other parts in Italy. Everyone's like, where have you been? I'm like, well, we did Lake Garda. And they're like, oh yeah, typical. And then we're like, and then we were in Rimini for a week. And they're like, what? Like the Italians were so impressed. They're like, it's beautiful. Good. You know well. So I don't want to ruin it, but this is all I have to say. And I will get into this in part 2. But if you go to these places and you act like an asshole and you say, Heather sent me here, I'll fucking find out your name and I will do harm. Okay. I'm not a violent person, but I cannot have my reputation on the line in this area in a negative way. If you show up to Da Andrea and he said, who sent you? And you go, Heather did. And you act like an asshole, I will fucking murder you. Allegedly. Do not fuck with my shit. Okay? All right, that's all I'm going to say. So anyways, we had an incredible first week, and then we all kind of parted ways. Tina went up north, and she went up to Bologna and Milan, and then Jeff and I were celebrating our anniversary. So we did a little a trip after that, which I will get into in part 2, because we're already at 48 minutes, and I desperately want to get into some of the voicemails, because I've missed y'all. So stay tuned. This Friday, part 2 will come out. I promise you, we have a lot more to discuss. We only got through week 1. We only got through my hospital stay, the rental car fiasco, us filming a travel show that I pray to God somebody will love and will get picked up, and the paparazzo. You know what I mean? We had the fucking time of our lives. We had the time of our lives. I was sad to go. The crew was great. We just had a really great time. But then it was necessary. It was necessary for everybody to branch off, because at that point my liver enzymes were through the fucking roof. Okay. I wasn't hungover because it's Italy. You can't get hungover in Italy, but your liver enzymes can be at an alarming rate where you start to turn jaundice. So we all were getting a little yellow and like needed to go. But let's get to the voicemails right now. As always, you can call in 800-213-7503. I know we're fresh off the 4th of July. I hope everyone had a wonderful 4th. Didn't even feel like the 4th to me because we were, I was in Italy. I was eating spaghetti. I was eating carbonara. But let's see what you guys have been up to, and let's get into the voicemails. Let's do two.
Hey, Heather. I am going to remain anonymous for this one, but absolutely not to dog sitting or for dog sitting and not getting paid by a family member. So originally from New Jersey, my aunt, who has a ton of money, by the way, asked me if I would come to New Jersey to dog sit for her to go on vacation. And I said, of course, great. I'll come home, take care of the dogs, visit with family. Gets back from vacation after about a week and no payment. But instead, a $20 gift card to go get ice cream. Now, I'm not going to complain about the ice cream. That's great. I appreciate that. Big ice cream gal. However, I had to pay for a flight halfway across the country to come home and dog sit. Didn't even offer to pay for that. So flew home, didn't make any money. I feel like that's an absolutely not, because she can certainly afford it. She went on a nice vacation, and I'm left with no payment.
Okay, so I didn't realize you had to fly home. I thought you were local. That's some bullshit. I do think, though, this is a problem I have. I get myself into situations because I'm just too trusting and I don't ask enough questions. I do this shit all the time. I'm like, no, surely, because I feel like I'm a very generous person. So there's very often times where I'm just like, no, of course they're going to have food. Of course they're going to feed us. Of course they're going to do this, because I would do that. And then you get there and you're like, there's no fucking food. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Okay, at first, your aunt's a cunt, so we already know that. Let's just establish that out the gate. She is. I didn't realize you had to fly home. So she said, "Come home." I'm thinking you're just, going a couple neighborhoods over. You're gonna dog sit while she goes. Now, I'll be honest with you right now. I watch family members' dogs all the time. Haven't seen a dime. Okay, haven't seen a dime, but that's just the McMahan. That's the McMahan company policy. No one pays anyone back unless it's me paying for something. So, anyways, so let's get this straight. You get there, you watch the dog. There's no payment. Now, at first, I would have been like, yeah, your aunt asked you to come over, watch the dog. I didn't really expect any payment. That's just how I am, though. I don't expect anybody to give me cash for anything, even if I show you, nude photos. I just don't expect it. That's just like my gift to you. But the fact that she came back, now it'd be one thing if she came back from her trip to Saint-Tropez, brought you a nice little, Louis Vuitton wallet. Hell, even if you're strapped for cash, you could turn around and sell that bad boy, pay your rent. But I'm afraid the $20 ice cream gift card was actually, at that point, you should have known. Aunt Linda had no plans of ever fucking paying you. It never crossed her mind once. What I would say is, though, hey, I realize if you didn't think you were going to pay me to do this, I'm a little confused because can you at least pay for my flight back? Because I have to fly home to, Boise, Idaho. I don't know where the hell you went. But here's the problem. This is what we do when we get ourselves in these situations. We don't ask the questions. We show up. And then we realize, I didn't realize I was shooting a porno. I thought I was doing a PSA, about what it's like to grow up and develop early as a young woman. I thought that's what this PSA was about. And they're like, no. The name of the movie is Big Titties, Old Face. And I was like, didn't think that's what that was. I've gone on auditions where I didn't realize I didn't read the fine print right. If you saw my last special, I told you I fucked up IVF because I didn't ask enough questions. So what you got to do is, this is a good lesson. You got to ask the uncomfortable questions. People don't want to do it. Is there food? Number one question. I mean, listen, if the bitch left crab claws or a nice charcuterie in the fridge, that's payment enough. You know what I mean? Again, I don't ask for a lot. You feed me, you give me a nice glass of white wine, and leave out a couple loose cigs on the patio. I'm happy. You got every streaming service, I'm happy. You got a cute dog that's not going to, bite my ankles in the morning, I'm happy. I didn't realize you flew across country, but you didn't ask the questions. So this is a lesson in speaking up and standing up for yourself. You got to ask the questions. I say yes to so much shit, and then the next thing you know, I'm at a charity event where I didn't realize it was, I put myself in some pickle situations just because I thought I was doing the right thing. And then it's like a charity that I like wildly don't align with. You know what I mean? It's just like white women with bad credit scores. I'm like, I don't think I need to promote this. But also, white women can get themselves in quite a financial pickle. So we've all been there. Moving forward, I definitely think you could Venmo your aunt. She didn't know how to open Venmo. Do you have any cousins? Can you text them and be like, hey, listen, we all know your mom's a little bit of a nutter butter, but you think you could ask her to pay me because I flew all the way across country and the dog fucking ate 2 pairs of Skims thongs, and you gotta reciprocate in some way. See if you can text the cousins. If you're not close with the cousins, maybe just go in your aunt's closet and steal something. I think that's the only way to do it. Allegedly. I'm not saying theft, but maybe that's the only way. If you don't feel comfortable enough just asking her, then you're probably going to have to steal something. Listen, take a Nespresso. I guarantee she has a nice Nespresso. Just take that. That fits in a carry-on. Take all the pods. Just kind of fuck with her a little bit. But really, it's on you. I got to be honest with you. Absolutely not for her not being generous and financially compensating you for the nice deed that you did. But also absolutely not to you for not asking the questions up front, because we always knew Aunt Linda was a cheap cunt. We knew this. You're sitting, driving in your car, listening to this podcast right now, absolutely knowing the fact that you knew she was going to do this shit. I walk in the door from our trip. Gas bubble. Body's ready to explode. I've been on a, flight was diverted. It was a long travel day. I show up. My mom goes, oh, I see you have a little Gucci bag. What'd you get me? And I turned to her and I said, nothing. I got you nothing. I don't know if I'm going to shit or fucking my whole body's going to explode, but I got you nothing. She's like, why are you yelling at me? I said, because the last time I got you something nice. I bought you a purse in New York. You never fucking wear it. I bought you a scarf at Gucci Garden in Florence, and you said it was too neutral. Didn't know you needed a pride flag, Mom. She's like, it was beige. It was beige and brown. Heather, those are not my colors. I'm like, bitch, you wear white cashmere every day of your fucking life. I don't want to hear it. So Robin got no gifts. Robin wears this black purse that she got at not at my leather store, Papini in Florence, which I swear by, but at one of those random offshoot leather markets. This bag, I don't even think is real leather. All the hardware on it has now tarnished. It's turned it went from gold to rose gold to silver. Now it's like a dusty yellow. I have bought this woman a YSL bag. I've given her 2. Bought her 2. When I did Radio City, I took my mom to St. Laurent and I bought her a bag because I was so embarrassed she was carrying around the fake leather bag from the fake leather market in Italy, okay? I don't know why. This is Robin. Robin's from Boston. She's never going to change. So why should I why am I trying to change her? I can't. But when she had the audacity to ask me, where's my Gucci purse? I just screamed, I didn't get you one. You don't appreciate it. Like a sociopath. Oh, somebody came back in a bad mood. God. And I'm like, I've got a gas bubble. I'm not going to make it. So here's the thing. People assume. You can't assume. You got to ask the questions. At the end of the day, it ends up being our fault because we don't ask the questions. I mean, I went all the way to Italy, not really knowing what I was getting myself into. Did it end up being great? Yes. We ended up having the time of our life. But I do think some days we don't ask enough questions. I mean, listen, I'm thinking about getting elective cosmetic surgery to fix my drooping neck. And I had asked one question. Will I die? And he was like, maybe. And I'm like, great. Like, I've asked nothing. I've asked nothing. And that is the thing. I need to ask more questions. I think also I am inundated with questions all day long from people needing things, and also my mom constantly asking me questions and my husband being like, where's this? What's that? What's that? That when I actually go out into the world, I ask nothing because I just know how fucking annoying it is to get peppered with questions. So then I'm like, I'm here for the ride. I'm along for the ride. So the fact that you showed up, watched your Aunt Linda schnauzer, and she didn't fucking pay you is your fault. She's still a cunt, and you should still steal the Nespresso, but it's kind of your fault. I love you, though. All right, let's get to one last one, and then we'll get to part 2 on Friday.
Hey, Heather. I have an absolutely yes for you.
Ooh.
I connected in London Heathrow a few weeks ago on our way to our family safari in Kenya.
Rich bitch.
Magical, mystical, amazing, beautiful. But we had to spend the night at Heathrow, and while we were at our hotel, the Hilton at Terminal 4, in walks an Emirates crew. So like 20 flight attendants, 4 or 5 pilots, and I have never been so starstruck. Have you seen them in real life?
Oh, yeah.
I've never flown Emirates, but wow, the flight attendants, uniforms, absolutely yes. They're gorgeous. They're perfectly fitted. They have little red shoes. They have their hat and their scarf, and they look so elegant. Beautiful hair, beautiful makeup, all the same color red lipstick that matches their outfit. It was amazing. All the same luggage, like perfectly lined up. I mean, it was incredible. And now I want to fly to Dubai just so I can fly on their planes. Let me know.
I love that. Absolutely, yes. To people just going out into public and looking professional. We love that. Listen, shout out to the Delta crew. My Delta crews there and back were absolutely fantastic. Dean on my flight back from Rome to Atlanta literally is, I could have kissed him.